Good morning, my sisters and brothers. Together let us exclaim Alleluia on this Sunday and a day that God has made for us to enjoy. Let us always be thankful for each and every moment of our life. This is an email from Thursday, December 11th, 2003, 7:57 p.m. and it's titled Unjust Fate. It comes from a book of C.S. Lewis' work called God in the Dock, Essays on Theology and Ethics. God in the Dock is a collection of previously unpublished essays and speeches from C.S. Lewis, collected from many sources after his death. And it's interesting, when I read this many years ago, I didn't know it was compiled after he had passed away. What God in the Dock means is essentially God on trial. This particular section has to do with questions that are placed to Mr. Lewis. And this is the question. Many people feel resentful or unhappy because they think they're the target of unjust fate. These feelings are stimulated by bereavement, illness, deranged domestic or working conditions, or the observation of suffering in others. What is the Christian view of this problem? And this is Lewis' answer. The Christian view is that men were created to be in a certain relationship to God. If we are in that relation to Him, the right relation to one another will follow inevitably. Christ said it was difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of heaven, referring no doubt to riches in the ordinary sense. But I think it really covers riches in every sense: good fortune, health, popularity, and all the things one wants to have. All these things tend, just as money tends, to make you feel independent of God, because if you have them, you are happy already and contented in this life. You don't want to turn away to anything more. And so you try to rest in a shadowy happiness as if it could last forever. But God wants to give you a real and eternal happiness. Consequently, He may have to take all these riches away from you. If He doesn't, you'll go on relying on them. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But I am beginning to find out what people call the cruel doctrines are really the kindest ones in the long run. I used to think it was a cruel doctrine to say troubles and sorrows were punishments, but I find in practice when you are in trouble, the moment you regard it as a punishment, it becomes easier to bear. If you think of this world as a place intended simply for our happiness, you find it quite intolerable. Think of it as a place of training and correction, and it's not so bad. Imagine a set of people all living in the same building. Half of them think it is a hotel. The other half think it is a prison. Those who think it a hotel might regard it as quite intolerable, and those thought it was a prison might decide that it was really surprisingly comfortable. So that what seems the ugly doctrine is one that comforts and strengthens you in the end. The people who try to hold an optimistic view of this world would become pessimists. The people who hold a petty, stern view of it become optimistic. I'll just read a portion of Matthew chapter 5, known as the Beatitudes, which I think sounds appropriate to this reading. Then he began to teach them as follows. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will have their fill. Blessed are the merciful, for they will obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted in the cause of justice, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I had the opportunity many years ago to be on the scene of a car crash where 2 young children were killed tragically. And by no doubt, one of the most terrible things a parent could ever go through. And I remember a few days later, there was an obituary. And instead of what we would consider a normal obituary, the way it was written was more testimony of the faith of the parents and the children, and their faith and love for Jesus Christ. And despite the tragedy, despite the heartache, my soul felt uplifted after reading it, to know that God's faith abounds, even in the midst of such terrible things like that. It doesn't make it any less hard to accept as a parent from our human standpoint, but from the spiritual standpoint, it gives comfort and peace to have faith and love and to know Jesus Christ. May God bless you, my friends. May He grant you a wonderful Sunday. May there be peace on earth. And with His blessing and grace, may we meet again tomorrow.